where humankind originated, developed from resilience and flamboyance, proudly protected by God at his righteous right hand. In the land of Africa, the wealthiest people are found, honoring the most powerful kings and queens, guarding where gold is extracted and collected from its ground. Our amazing ancestors have gained an outstanding amount of prosperity, not even receiving enough recognition. Hearing the essence of African culture shouldn't be a rarity. The world tries its best to hide our magnificent background, not even realizing why our Black leaders have been crowned. It's even us that don't realize the potential we have and how great we can be. Challenged by our struggles, we can be blinded by our own powerful capabilities, broken out of shackles and chains because we finally get to experience this euphoria of being free. Our African history does not deserve to be unnoticed. We'll never be defeated. We know God will keep on helping us to declare our victory. Yeah,
Thank you. Mother Ireland. At first, I was land. I lay on my back to be fields, and when I turned on my side, I was a hill under freezing stars. I did not see, but I was seen. Night and day, words fell on me, seeds, raindrops, chips of frost. From one of them, I learned my name. I rose up, I remembered it. Now I could tell my story. It was different from the story told about me. And now also, it was spring. I could see the wound I had left in the land by leaving it. I traveled west. Once there, I looked with so much love at every field as it unfolded, its rusted wheel and its pram chassis, and at the gorse, bright distances I had been, that they misunderstood me. Come back to us, they said. Trust me, I whispered.
It's called Where I'm From. Okay, I'm from Spain, and I really miss it. So this is my poem. Where I'm from. I am from a bakery, from flan and bread steak. I am from the second floor. Bread smell loud and hustling to make it happen. I am from the geraniums in the spring, geranium pots on your patio. I am from family Sunday lunches and togetherness, from Marin and Garcia. I am from blue eyes and brown eyes, from my dad's image at Larga Street. I am from Sunday masses, first communion classes. I am from Puerto de Santa Maria, Spain, at Larga Street. Lentils, chickpeas, and beans. Oranges for dessert. From the grandma who learned how to drive at 65. The aunt who took me to her house in the afternoons. My grandma's first TV with 2 channels. No matter where I live, home is always there waiting for me.
Historic history. February is our month to celebrate. June 19th is the day which we commemorate a history of pain from the repetition of strife. Injustice gutted our ancestors like the blade of a knife. Calling attention to that pain means we're wrong, as if our Negro spirituals were simply a song. You hear our voices and constantly, that's our mission. We can no longer tolerate your inability to listen. Hear my ancestors' words and listen to their plea. Their values have emulated inside of me. From their foundation, I am their wildest dream come true, as their eyes were fixated on the sky blue. Those before me went through it all. Hatred for their lives was never small. I am the manifestation of all their prayers. My people today are their heirs. From Malcolm X's fight for civil rights to Ella Fitzgerald singing on those Harlem nights. Way back to when Harriet led slaves to freedom, further back to Mansa Musa's ancient golden kingdom.
The poem is entitled, I Give You Back. I release you, my beautiful and terrible fear. I release you. You were my beloved and hated twin, but now I don't know you as myself. I release you with all the pain I would know at the death of my children. You are not my blood anymore. I give you back to the soldiers who burned down my home, beheaded my children, raped and sodomized my brothers and sisters. I give you back to those who stole the food from our plates when we were starving. I release you, fear, because you hold these scenes in front of me, and I was born with eyes that can never close. I release you. I release you. I release you. I release you. I am not afraid to be angry. I am not afraid to rejoice. I am not afraid to be black. I am not afraid to be white. I'm not afraid to be hungry. I'm not afraid to be full. I'm not afraid to be hated. I'm not afraid to be loved. To be loved. To be loved, fear. Oh, you have choked me, but I gave you the leash. You have gutted me, but I gave you the knife. You have devoured me, but I laid myself across the fire. I take myself back, fear. You are not my shadow any longer. I won't hold you in my hands. You can't live in my eyes, my ears, my voice, my belly, or in my heart, my heart, my heart, my heart. But come here, fear. I am alive, and you are so afraid of dying.
Jordan, and it was dedicated to the 600,000 Palestinian men, women, and children who lived in Lebanon from 1948 to 1983. And excuse me if I read kind of fast or if I seem out of breath. I didn't know, and nobody told me, and what could I do or say anyway? They said you shot the London ambassador, and when that wasn't true, they said so. What? They said you shelled their northern villages, and when the UN forces reported that it was not true because your side of the ceasefire was holding since more than a year before, they said so. What? They said they wanted simply to carve a 25 million buffer zone, and then they ravaged your water supplies, your electricity, your hospitals, your schools, your highways and byways, all the way north to Beirut, because they said this was their quest for peace. They blew up your homes and demolished the grocery stores and blocked the Red Cross and took away doctors to jail, and they cluster-bombed girls and boys whose bodies swelled purple and black into twice the original size and tore the buttocks from the 4-month-old baby, and then they said this was a brilliant military accomplishment. And this was done, they said, in the name of self-defense. They said this is the noblest concept of mankind. Isn't that obvious? They said something about never again, and then they made close to 1 billion human beings homeless in less than 3 weeks, and they killed or maimed 40,000 of your men and your women and your children. But I didn't know, and nobody told me, and what could I do or say anyway? They said they were victims. They said you were Arabs. They called your apartments and gardens guerrilla strongholds. They called the screaming devastation that they created the rubble. Then they told you to leave, didn't they? Didn't you read the leaflets that they dropped from their hotshot fighter jets? They told you to go. 135,000 Palestinians in Beirut, and why didn't you take the hint? Go. There was the Mediterranean. You could walk into the water and stay there. What was the problem? I didn't know, and nobody told me, and what could I do or say anyway? Yes, I did know the money that I earned as a poet that paid for the bombs and the planes and the tanks and that they used to massacre your family. But I am not an evil person. The people of my country aren't so bad. You can expect that, but so much from those of us who have to pay taxes and watch American TV. You see my point. I'm sorry. I really am sorry.
Day 86. My country belongs to God. These are our scriptures. Happy shall he be that taketh and dasheth thy children unto the rock. Psalm 137:9. Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. Romans 12:19. I will be there where there are two or more gathered in my name, Christ proclaims in Matthew 18:20. Jesus must have a permanent presence in the church, where the door has been propped ajar for eternity. Jesus Christ must live here, where congregants were struck in supplication, pleading for their lives, pleading for their lives. Where shall we find comfort? Where can we go in this country of God? Day 85. And God said, let there be light. And there was light from the beginning of the world. There was light on this day like all other days. Every day there was light enough to see everything. we didn't always need to see. We didn't need to see everything every day. Day 34. So we tasted, smelled, touched, felt, and heard what we knew to be true. We had to see, taste, smell, touch, feel, in order to know this word. Genocide? How much made it valid? Would one less death have disqualified those 100 days from being a genocide? And more. Thank you.
This is the poem, and it's called Horns. In every crowd, there is one with horns, casually moving through the bodies as if this is the living room of a creature with horns. A long cloak and the song of tongues on the lips of the body. To see the horns, one's heart rate must reach 175 beats per minute, at a rate faster than the blink of an eye. For the body with horns lives in the space between the blink and light. Slow down the blink, and somewhere in the white space between sight and sightlessness is twilight. And in that place, that gap, the stop time, the horn-headed creatures appear, spinning, dancing, strolling through the crowd, and in the fever of revelation. You will understand why the shaman is filled with the hubris of creation, why the healer forgets herself and feels like angels about to take flight. My head throbs under the mosquito mesh. The drums do not stop through the night. The one with horns feeds me sour porridge and nuts and sways. Welcome, welcome.
Pura vida. Such heat, it brings the brain back to its basic blank. Small recurrent events become the daily news. The white-nosed coati treading the cecropias, bending thin branches like sidewalks in the sky. The scarlet-rumped tanager flitting like a spark. In the tinder of dank green, the nodding palm leaves, perforated like jacquard cards in the coat of wormholes, the black hawk skimming nothingness over and over. What does the world's wide brimming mean, with hunger, the unstated secret dying the proximate reality? Con mucho gusto, the muchness extends to the stars, as wet and numerous as larvae underground, where the ants in their preset patterns scurry and nurture, and the queen, immobilized, pours forth her eggs in the dark. We are far from oaks and stoplights, from England's chill classrooms and Tuscany's paved hills. For thought is a stridulation, an insect sizzling, knit of the moment's headlines and temperate zone quips, viable in the debris of our rotting educations, that thatch where peer groups call each to each and seems ecosystematically, great God himself, wilts with a rise in temperature, a drop in soil acidity, a new language in its grimacing opacity, the brain's dry buzz revives a bit as evening falls. Thank you.
All you have shall one day be given. All you have shall one day be given. Therefore give now. That the season of giving may be yours and not your inheritors. So this is a very powerful reminder that he wrote in 1923 that nothing belongs to us. Absolutely nothing belongs to us. So this poem in the response of a rich man who says, so tell us something about giving. And his response was, you give but little when you give of your possessions. It is when you give of yourself, you truly give. For what are your possessions but the things you keep and guard for fear? You may need them tomorrow. And tomorrow? What shall tomorrow bring? To the overprudent dog, burying bones on the trackless sand, as he follows the pilgrims to the holy city. And what is fear? Fear of need, but the need itself. Is not dread of thirst when your well is full, the thirst that is unquenchable. There are those who give little of much they have, and they give it for recognition. And their hidden desire makes their gift unwholesome. And then there are those who have little and give it all. These are the believers in life. And the bounty of life, and their coffer is never empty. There are those who give with joy, and their joy is the reward. And then there are those who give with pain, and that pain is the baptism. And there are those who give and not know pain in giving, nor do they seek joy. Let me start again. And there are those who give and not know pain in giving, nor do they seek joy, nor give with mindfulness of virtue. They give as in yonder valley, the myrtle breathes its fragrance in space. To the hands of such of these, God speaks. And from behind their ears, he smiles upon earth. It is well to give when asked. It is well to give when asked, but it is better to give unasked, through understanding. And to the open-handed, the search for one who shall receive is the joy greater than giving. And all you have shall someday be gone. All you have shall one day, someday be gone, therefore give now, that the season of giving may be yours and not your inheritors. This is written by Khalil Gibran, a Lebanese American poet.
There is no stray bullet, sirs. No, hang on, sorry. No bullet like a worried cat crouching under a bush. No half-hairless puppy bullet dodging midnight streets. The bullet could not be a pecan plunking a tin roof, not hardly. No fluff of pollen on October's breath. No humble pebble in the street. So don't gentle it, please. We live among stray thoughts, tasks abandoned midstream. Our fickle hearts are fat with stray devotions. We feel at home among bits and pieces, all the wandering ways of words. But this bullet had no innocence. It did not wish anyone well. You can't tell us otherwise by naming it mildly. This bullet was never the friend of life, should not be granted immunity by soft saying, friendly fire, straying death eye. Why have we given the wrong weight to what we do? Muhammad deserves the truth. This bullet did not have secret happy hopes. It was not singing to itself with eyes closed under the bridge.
Some years ago, on the streets of Paris, I implored the tour guide to take me to the place where my people could be found. My people, black, like me. When we arrived, I saw racks and tables lining black streets, lined with black people speaking fluid French with thick Senegalese accents, heavy Nigerian accents, melodic Malayan accents, beautiful African accents from my people, black, like me. I walked in anticipation and power as I thought about my DNA tests, riddled with teasing predictions regarding who I am genetically, 65 to 75% African, multiple African ethnicities, essentially black, unequivocally black, blackity black, quintessentially black. I looked around and down those adorned, peopled black streets, and I marveled at my people, black and seemingly unafraid, living in this place far removed from their own native lands, savvy and courageous, setting up a human communication alert system, a chain from block to let their fellow vendors know, La police arrive, so that they might pick up and run with their goods, hastily gathered when the police would come through to shut down unlicensed vendors and take the blocks back, making those streets less black. Only upon police departure to reemerge, to come back, goods in hand, black, like me. I saw them scramble out and then flow back in, focused, with minimal loss or words, straight business, undeterred fire, burnished black, persistent black, African immigrants, black like me, one gleaming tall man with skin like ebony teak wood, swinging heavy locks, approached our group made up of our guide, white, French, fellow travelers, another female faculty member, American, white, a brother and a sister duo, black, American, like me. Of course, he, the vendor, was promoting his motherland-made and acquired wares. He quickly flipped his tongue from French to English without pause. Impressed, I heard him ask the brother and sister in our group where they were from. They too, tall and gleaming, visages like deep, rich earthen gods. The vendor explained that they looked like his people. He gave them his place, his culture, his ethnicity. I stood in awe, covetous. I wanted to be named a people, a dance, customs, food, song, dress. I waited for a moment so as not to disturb this beautiful sub-Saharan African impromptu naming ceremony. And then I said, where do I look like I'm from? As if he could place in the world all people black like me. It must have been in that moment, or it could have been every moment before, that maybe the 25 to 35% of my Euro-Asiatic indigenous American DNA stood up, and the naming God of this Paris street said to me, New York. My face burned as I fell back into the nebulous, momentarily stripped of my African, oft-denied American identity. I've learned much since that day about who I am and how I am seen outside the walls of this land. In Pan-African spaces, Eastern North Carolina girl that I am, and I have come to the conclusion that black like me ain't always the same for everybody.